Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me in this video. It's going to be the first part of a video series about the Jonbenét Ramsey case. I will show you some thorough readings as well. But first, in this first video, I would just like to talk about the story itself for those that are not familiar with it. It's a very upsetting story, and for long I didn't even feel like wanting to talk about it. In the past I dealt with this case a lot, but honestly it made me feel sick to my stomach. And when something upsets me like this, I can't even sleep normally for weeks. So I put it aside for over a decade, and not so long ago it started to come back in my mind again and again. So in this first part I'm going to talk about the story only, so you will not see any tarot cards in this video, but in the next one you will already see the cards as well. So Jonbenét was born on the 6th of August in 1990. Her full name is Jonbenét Patricia Ramsey. Her father's name is Jonbenét Ramsey, so they created the name Jonbenét from the father's first and middle name. They put together John and Bennett and made it a bit more feminine, and this is how the name Jonbenét was born. And Patricia was her mother, Patsy Ramsey. So she got both her parents' names in this weird way, I would say weird, without wanting to be judgmental. So this in itself already raised questions in me, like why to name a little girl after her father like this? She gets his father's last name, so why to compound a name like Jonbenét? I understand that they wanted it to sound very unique, but psychologically it's weird. Anyway, it happens that parents want to express that their child is very unique and absolutely unique. Another thing, John Ramsey, the father, was a multi-millionaire. He had a very successful business, and they say whoever wanted to kidnap Jonbenét did this for the money, but this was actually not the story. So he was an extremely wealthy businessman. John is still alive. Patsy, his wife, died 10 years after Jonbenét's death. She died of ovarian cancer. So John, the father, was a very successful businessman. As for Patsy, she was a beauty queen in 1977, so 13 years before Jonbenét was born. And Jonbenét had an older brother from the same mother and father, Burke Ramsey. He is 3 years older than Jonbenét. And she had 3 half-siblings from her father's side. One of them died at a young age, at around 20, in a car accident prior to Jonbenét's death, and the other siblings were also young adults. So Patsy was John's second wife, and they had 2 children in common, Burke, who was born in 1987, and Jonbenét, who was born in 1990. What happened here is that Patsy was taking Jonbenét to beauty pageant contests, and she was a well-admired child for her beauty, we could say, but you can see photos of Jonbenét here. I wouldn't like to comment on it. I just have one question about it on my mind. Why? Why to do this to a 6-year-old child? Apart from being taken at beauty contests, she went to kindergarten, she got everything she wanted and she needed, and most probably even more. And parents say she enjoyed being on the stage and that she adored being a beauty pageant. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, it was Christmas 1996. The Ramseys went at a party at one of their friends' place, and they had dinner there. They went home at about 9 p.m. They say Jonbenét was sleeping in the car. They say when they arrived home, her father took her up to her room and put her to bed the way she was. And at 6 a.m., a couple of minutes before 6 a.m., Patsy called 911, saying that she found a ransom note in their house and that Jonbenét was kidnapped. Within 3 minutes, the first police officers arrived and then many more came. After calling the police, Patsy called their friends, 2 families, and they also showed up at the scene. So a lot of people started to flood in the house. The ransom note, as they found it out later, was written with Patsy's pen and in Patsy's notebook. It was a 3-page long ransom note, and I will read it out for you in a couple of minutes. So the story is that according to them, someone went in the house, kidnapped Jonbenét, and wrote a 3-page long ransom note sitting in the house, calmly writing, using Patsy's notebook and pen. And when the 3-page long ransom note was done, the kidnapper left. There were no signs of forced entry or any entries at all. Anyway, so Patsy showed the ransom note to the police officers and they started to analyze it. In the meanwhile, police officers were coming and going, and they didn't seal the house at once. They thought it was important to seal only Jonbenét's room because she was kidnapped from there. So all the house was contaminated within a very short time. One of the officers went down in the basement because he was trying to look for exit places where the kidnapper could have left, and he found a door. He stopped in front of the door for a moment, but he passed by it because he thought no one could leave through that door because the door was locked and extra secured from the inside. So if one goes out through that door and leaves the house through that door, obviously they can't secure it from the inside. So he didn't go in that room in the basement because he was looking for exit places. And yet later on at 1 p.m., this is the room in the basement where Jonbenét's father, found Jonbenét's body. He went down there with some other 2 people, I think. So Jonbenét's body was in the basement during the whole time. I'm not going to get into details about what they did to her body, but her cause of death was asphyxiation due to strangulation and her skull was broken as well. Also, there were signs of abuse, but she was not raped. There was duct tape on her mouth. The father tore off the duct tape. Later on, they found fibers on the duct tape, and the fibers were identical with the fibers of Patsy Ramsey's clothes. So it turned out that Jonbenét wasn't kidnapped but was murdered, and her body was placed in the basement, found 7 hours after Patsy, the mother, called 911. Now, autopsy found an interesting thing. There was undigested pineapple in her stomach. That it was undigested, so after eating, the stomach gets empty in a period from 2 to 4 hours. It depends on the food and on the speed of digestion. Pineapple, it's not something tough for the stomach to digest. And we know that they arrived home at around 9 p.m. and they say that Jonbenét was sleeping and her father put her to bed in her own bedroom and that they didn't even wake her up, but she woke up. Sometime she woke up and she ate pineapple because there was undigested pineapple in her stomach. And they didn't eat pineapple at their friend's place. and the dinner she ate at the friend's place was already out of her stomach by then. So it's a very important detail that they found pineapple in her stomach. Later on, long years later, they asked her brother Burke about eating pineapples with Jonbenét. They asked, "Did you eat pineapples with Jonbenét?" And he said, "Maybe." There was a bowl of pineapple found on the kitchen table, but only Patsy's fingerprints were found on it. I can imagine that kids eat pineapple with their hands only, so they don't necessarily need to touch the bowl if they pick up pieces of pineapples with their hands or fingers. Anyway, so Jonbenét had to get up. She had to eat pineapple sometime during the night prior to her death, and not so much before her death. Okay, and this is the ransom note. Now I'm going to read it out for you. They tried to analyze the handwriting, and some experts said it can be Patsy's handwriting. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attached to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence earlier pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for a proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police or FBI, will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in way marked or tampered with, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned, we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand a 100% of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory. SBTC. So these are the facts around all this, and even policemen and investigators couldn't agree on what happened. There were investigators that said the parents did it, some said the brother did it, some said an outsider did it. They found unknown DNA on Jonbenét's underwear. I have my own opinion how it can get there. It's not such a big deal to take her underwear and crawl out and wipe door handles or cars with it. Handles, fences, whatever, wherever people show up and there are door handles, it's not a big deal. And they even said it was multiple DNA, so DNA belonging to several people, not just one person. Okay, so this was the first part, and in the second part I'm going to show you a tarot spread about how tarot shows what happened. How did Jonbenét pass away? What happened here? Thank you for your attention. Stay well, all of you. Bye bye.